Ah, fantastic. Well, welcome to Leaders Live, folks, and Happy New Year to you all. We're just waiting for the feeds to come up. So I'm Andrew Jenkins, and this is a short countdown timer to help the various feeds catch up and settle down, folks. And we can't wait for
I
today's...
love the fact that you gave the countdown timer an introduction. That was wonderful.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's our groovy countdown timer, and we hope you enjoyed the festive break, folks, and we hope that this show is a great start to get you motivated with goal setting for your 2023. And this week's Leaders Live, we hang out with David Hyner, my mate, who incidentally was on the first round of Leaders Live when we started out on Facebook, folks, that many months ago. So 19 months ago or so. We're still waiting to see whether we're live yet. Are we live yet, Sarah, on LinkedIn?
I believe so, but my comments aren't coming through yet, which is panicking me slightly.
Okay, yep, we're on. Lovely.
Everybody else is saying good morning and their comments are showing
Oh,
up.
yeah,
Mine,
brilliant.
there is no sign of mine, which is really mean, and I don't understand why.
Brilliant.
I've now lost the whole thing, which is... Oh my!
Dear.
What is occurring?
So that's Mrs. Moderator speaking there. So we've got Sarah Jenkins doing the moderating today, and we have Tilly in the background just in case the comments don't come through. And here's our new sponsor intro. Fantastic. Well, I hope you liked our little intro there. We've been playing around with that for the last couple of weeks, so we're really proud of it. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, Miria Jeffers. Good morning, Mateus. Good morning, Paul Winfield, Jonas, and Tilly Davis. Good morning. And we might need your services, Tilly, just in case Sarah can't do her funky stuff this morning. And good morning, Melanie Smith and Vivian Cox. Good morning, everybody. So oi people and hi gang. It's Leaders Live showtime, folks, and it's just after 8:45 a.m. here in the UK, and we are live, spreading the love, folks, spreading the love, yabba dabba do. I love that. And I hope you enjoyed that groovy opener, as I said. And this week we are delighted that we're being powered this week by our sponsors this week, brand and design agency Ghost. And please let us know if our audio is coming through okay too. So just to let you know that if you're new to Leaders Live, a warm welcome to you. And look, Leaders Live is a dynamic weekly talk show that generates business through networking, community, and extraordinary conversations, folks, that inspire. And as I mentioned in the countdown, I'm Andrew Jenkins, and I host this interactive weekly Leaders Live show that's built an awesome community of people, of like-minded leaders. So welcome, Laurie Hales as well. Welcome. Great to see you. Happy New Year, Laurie. And so please don't be shy. We'd love you to introduce yourself if you're new to the show. And if you're not, just introduce yourself anyway, so that we can all get to know who's online, and we can encourage you to actively network and build relationships with each other. That's part of the show. So please join in, interact with the comments, chat, ask questions as we go along too. Ask questions of David and myself. And that's how we roll. And our motto here is I to the power of we. And as usual, we're streaming out on all major social media channels and Leaders Live website too. So don't you just love tech? And sometimes we don't love tech because it doesn't work very well, but it worked brilliantly today. So hopefully it'll carry on working brilliantly. And if you can't catch us live, there's always the replay, and there's the podcasts too. There's no end to our talent here with tech. And by the way, I'm sure that you'd appreciate there's a huge amount of work and love that goes into producing this high quality free Leaders Live business show every week for you guys. And one really easy way you can give back and show us that you appreciate and love the show too is to buy me a coffee. And you can use the link buymeacoffee.com /Leaders Live. And Sarah will put the link someone will put the link in for you. Sarah can't do it. And into the feed, and you get a shout out on the show. And it looks a bit like this if I can do a quick test for you. So it comes out like this. Hey, there we go. Looks like that. Brilliant. Great little idea. So if you want to buy me a coffee, please do that. And there's a QR code as well to make things really easy and less friction. And there you go. And just a quick shout out for smash those likes too, and those thumbs up as well. We really appreciate that. It keeps us motivated, talking about motivation today and goal setting. And please follow us on YouTube, etc. And the links will be in the comments and the chat. So, phew, put it all together. And what do you got? Yep, you got it. Bibbity, bibbity, bobbity, boo. Brilliant. And let me just bring up our guest this morning. So, good morning, David Hyner. How you doing, mate?
Good morning. I'm tickety and boo.
Tickety boo. I like that. Tickety and boo, not just tickety. Tickety and boo. Brilliant. So our theme today is how to achieve big, massive, hairy goals. Oh, how about that? I think that deserves a oh. So kick us off today. Set the scene for us. Give us the direction of travel. Where are we going? How are you going to inspire us today, David?
My goal today is to try to get more of you business leaders to stop setting smart goals. Personally as well as professionally.
Setting smart goals. So here we go. So not to set smart goals, but to set a different type of goal. And in your language, that's what, David?
That is massive. Big, fat, hairy, massive goals. Massive is the most common word used by top achievers in our 25 years of research interviews. Asking them specific questions. How do you set goals?
Brilliant, brilliant. And I forgot to give you this as our... Oh, there you go. Someone's bought me a coffee. Fantastic. Thank you very much, whoever you are. You can actually put your email address in there. So let us know who bought us a coffee. So thank you very much, whoever you were. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. To kick us off, we have an audience question. And we hope we can put that in the feed this morning. So as a leader... Just listening to what David has just said, what sort of goals do you set for for the coming year? Do you set smart goals? Do you set stretch goals? Do you set big, massive, hairy goals? Or nope, I don't set goals at all. So there's your question for this morning, and we'll put that into the feed if Tilly can do that, or Sarah. So interesting question, isn't it? Oh. So the question again is, as a leader, what sort of goals do you set for your year ahead? Smart goals, stretch goals, massive, big, hairy goals. Nope, I don't set goals, or any other type of goal. So that's your start of a 10. So kick us off in the chat, folks. And there's a little bit of a delay in the chat, in the feed. So we'll pick that up in a minute. And I'm going to come back to you just in a tick as well, David, just in a moment. So just bring up... the Mrs. Moderator scene. So we've got Sarah Jenkins doing our moderating today. Over to you to say a little bit more, Sarah, for this morning.
Good morning. Yeah, very topical, isn't it? Goals, new year and all that. I'm just going to kick this morning off by just a bit of a reminder of what the chat function is and isn't. We do love you to participate. We absolutely encourage, but it's not a place to sell. So there is one person in the chat who is doing a promotion here, and you need to stop it, because that's what the show is all about.
You don't mess with Mrs. Moderator, you know. So.
Not. So lovely to have you on the show, but please stop trying to sell to us, because
Brilliant.
That's what it's there for. The other thing is, my tech LinkedIn obviously doesn't like me. I am putting my comments in on my LinkedIn feed, and nothing is happening. So Tilly is doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. For putting the comments in, but yeah, no idea. Obviously it's user error, who knows, but thank you, Tilly. And yeah, I'll do the speaky bit and Tilly's putting the bits in, so
no problem. And Maria Jeffers just says this: love the title of the show. There you go. So lovely, thank you. So we're sponsored by Ghost today, and that's just fantastic this week. And yeah, so the team it's me and Sarah, our moderator, and David Hyner, and in the background we've got Tilly and and our sponsors Ghost. That's the team for today. So back to David again. Let's bring David back up. So, and just before you begin, David, let's just give you a round of applause.
Hey. Well, I'm ahead. Thank you. You've been great.
How about that? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. In fact, just before we start, and just as the comments start to come in here, then we did this poll as well, David, didn't we? We did this poll on LinkedIn. As a leader, what sort of goals do you set personally and or professionally for the year ahead? Which is very similar to the question we kicked you off with. So, and these are the answers. So there was a massive take up for this. We did this on Friday last or Thursday last. Smart goals, 45%. Stretch goals, 26%. Massive, big, hairy goals, 16%. And nope, I don't set goals, 13%. What say you, David?
Well, for 23 years, I've worked both in the education sector and also with leadership groups and corporate. whenever I work with leaders, I always ask them the question, do you set goals personally, professionally?
Yeah.
If so, what do you do? And it staggers me and often terrifies the chairman and chairwomen of the groups that so many of their members, who are like yourselves, business leaders in something between 500 and 500 million turnover businesses, don't have personal goals, and that terrifies them. But also, actually, in business, it's amazing how many of them actually do not set goals, and those that do tend to be smart goals. And the problem with that, my friend, is that people have just taken on board the assumption that smart goals is how you set goals, without finding out what it was based upon, what it was meant for. And sadly, in the last 40 years plus, we have culturally started to set ourselves up for mediocrity at best.
Set up for mediocrity. So just what is a smart goal, just for people who might be struggling with what is a smart goal? So,
well, that depends who you believe, because a lot of people will say smart came from Peter Drucker. And he put smart in his book, but actually an earlier resource came from George T. Duran. George T. Duran was a project manager in the United States, worked on multi-billion-dollar water utility projects, and he came up with the acronym SMART, which was specific, measurable, attainable, relevant. And the problem is that SMART is just quoted as specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound because of Peter Drucker. But the original source came from someone who never once, my friend, said your goal should be smart.
Isn't that interesting?
Several times is quoted as saying, when working on really big projects, the steps to your goal should be smart. That's different.
Okay. So not the goal should be smart, but the steps to the goal. Right. So hold on to that thought, folks. That's really interesting. Let's just bring Sarah up for a moment. What's going on in the chat, Sarah? Just so that we can...
quite a bit going on. Morning to Craig Shepherd. Who says he's got an overall goal for the year, but it's too long for most people to keep motivated. So smaller steps, all in the right direction. Smaller steps, which is just what you've been saying, David. Small, and they could be smart, right? Those little small steps.
They must be. That is the place for smart. The steps to the goal.
Lovely. Thanks.
When I work in business schools, all over the world, business schools will be using SMART goals, be it the MBA, the Institute of Leadership Management, whatever program they're running, they'll talk about SMART goals. When you ask the professors, what is it based upon? They go, oh, well, because it works. They not one person yet has actually been able to quote George T. Duran, the original source.
Isn't that amazing?
Who it transpires his name is quoted.
His name is quoted. Yeah, indeed. And Peter Drucker has taken the replacement for it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't blame Peter Drucker. I blame people who are too lazy to find out what things mean.
What the real source of things are, David. And actually, David is a king on stats. So we'll get stats from David as we're going along as well. So, Sarah, what else is going in the chat? Just give David a quick break.
That's going on quite a lot. Melanie Smith, she said, tend to have stretching goals, objectives with smart action plans underneath that.
Melanie Smith. Oh, yes, got that. Yeah, there we go, Melanie. Good morning. Lovely. Yeah, I tend to have stretching goals, objectives with smart action plans underneath that. David's nodding away there, and a thumbs up. There you go.
Certainly. So another thumbs up from it. Now, it's just coming up LinkedIn users, so apologies, I don't know who this is, but it says, this is massive smart revelation for them this morning. So that is brilliant. That's what we like. We're here to inform.
And if you let us know who you are, that will be great too, because you're coming across as LinkedIn user at the moment for some reason.
Absolutely.
Right.
Leslie Flowers, never use SMART goals. They're designed for the tasks, achievable and realistic, are dream killers.
Oh, look at the nodding from David there. Let's just, never use SMART goals, says Leslie. They are designed for the tasks, achievable and realistic, are dream killers. Folks, that's beautifully said. Well done, Leslie. Love that. And you've got definite thumbs up from David and lots of nods there. All right, carry on, Sarah.
That's about it, really. And if the person who is actually trying to advertise to all our doesn't stop it, I'm going to call you out by name.
Yeah, so
This
there
is
you go. Yeah, you don't
this
mess.
Got a
you
public hanging, folks.
You
you
don't mess.
will be blacklisted. It's not happening.
Okay, there we go. And quickly, Laura Hales says this. Well, I'm a project manager by trade, so I have overall goals broken down by quarter, which they get scheduled in my to-do app and put on my calendar, both short-term and long-term. Most are smart. Okay,
Lovely. So yeah,
lovely.
back to David. We will see what else comes up.
Yeah, Maria just says this as well, Sarah. I think is that Maria's just popped this in, or have we done this one? I can't remember. I'm starting to think bigger in terms of goals. Years ago, I didn't used to set up any goals. Where is it again? And now I'm an advocate of setting big goals. And I'm all about vision. So smart steps to work towards
Small
big
steps.
Small steps. There we go again. Yeah, well done, Sarah. Thank you. Lovely. Okay, so we'll come back to comments as we go. Keep the comments flowing, folks. Don't be shy. So kick us off, David, with another thought here. So when it comes to goal setting, what are some of the most common things that super successful people do, David? What can we learn from them and apply? What do super successful people do?
Well, just to qualify why I arrogantly assume I know what top achievers think and behave. 25 years of research, 258 top achievers all over the world, every walk of life you could possibly imagine, interviewed on the subject of personal effectiveness and goal setting. So when I quote anything professionally, I only quote things from research that I can evidence in two ways. One, this is how top achievers and the majority think and behave. And two, in the last 23 years of delivering this to 1.2 million plus people all over the world, I can categorically evidence that this stuff works because we've got enough evidence to prove that it does. So in terms of the most common things top achievers have told us, this is how we think and behave when working on our goals. There are half a dozen things that have leapt. I mean, just 90% plus of the top achievers alluded to this is what we do. The number one thing was set massive goals.
Oh, surprise.
They actually mock SMART goals. To quote Tim Watts, CEO and founder of, at the time, Europe's second largest recruitment company, Pertemps, he actually laughed in my face when I told him most people are setting SMART goals. And he actually said, "You mean we're setting people up for mediocrity?"
There you go. That's where that comes from. Yeah.
So number one, big, fat, hairy goals. That's
goals.
That's what Tim Watts says. The second thing is, which the subject is becoming a little passé these days because it's been bandied about by anyone wearing a pair of sandals, which is purpose. But the critical sentence here is that very, very successful people have a reason why they must achieve their goal that is bigger than their fear of failure and insecurities around the goal. So people on the call right now, there'll be moments in your life where you wanted to do something, you started it, you stumbled, and you gave in, saying, "I tried." The only reason you gave in because you didn't have a big enough reason why to get back up, dust yourself down, look in the mirror and go, "Is that all you've got?" and go again. People with a reason why they must will out-achieve the rest of us 10 to 1. I've just made the 10 to 1 up, but they will massively out-achieve the rest of us because their reason to do it, they have like a call to action, a raison d'etre, a flag to rally behind. And people go with them because people with a why are charismatic. They are just driven. They're a force, and they very rarely give in.
Yeah, that's very. I love the idea that you'll have a why that's bigger than your fears, folks. And I really thought that was powerful. Quick example. So some years ago, just before the pandemic, I was asked to speak in Glasgow at a massive audience. Actually, it was well over 1,000 people, and I remember travelling there thinking, "Why am I doing this? Because I've put myself up for failure here, and I'm going to stand to 1,000 people. What happens if I muff my lines, David? What happens if it all goes wrong?" And so I started to feel very fearful. I thought, "Hang on a minute. Oh, whoa! What's my why here? Why am I doing that?" And yet, exactly as you've said, I'd realised my why is bigger than my fear. So what I did was, and this is a good one for Maria as well, as a professional coach, is I decided to think, well, okay, look, yes, I acknowledge my fears, but actually the why is bigger than the fear, so I'm going to do it anyway. Fear the fear and do it anyway. So, and it was a great speech. So, yeah, I concur completely with that. Let's bring Sarah back in quickly, just because there's a load of things going on. What's going on in the chat? Let's catch
So
up.
good morning to Cecile.
Good
She
morning.
says, I found the focus to be very important rather than setting lots of goals. In other words, starting by 1 or 2 goals and keeping track of them.
Yeah, yeah,
That
Yeah.
actually is that actually there by Cecilia is a very powerful statement, because the focus is the thing that will either make us achieve it or not.
yeah.
And if you're focusing on the why rather than the what becomes irrelevant. Everyone is so precious about the outcome, but if you have a reason why bigger than the fear of that outcome, you will probably smash the outcome that you set. Without sounding cheesy, it's the children's quote, isn't it? Shoot for the moon and you'll end up in the star, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, that is the truth. I mean, if people in our workshops we say, "What's your goal?" and hypothetically, if they say, "I want to write a book," I'll immediately double it and say, "So you want to write a global best-selling book?"
Very nice. Big
Or
hairy
they say,
goal.
"I want to be a millionaire." Oh, so you want to be a multi-millionaire? Because the goal must truly be huge.
So that's what the big hairy piece is to it, is to just
Yeah.
make it, take the goal and make it even bigger and hairier. Hairier. Okay, got that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well done, Cecile. Right, carry on, Sarah.
Leslie Flowers is talking about 1 goal at a time. Do not know how, keep it quiet, write it down. Must motivate you into actioning. Focus on the why, not the how. The 12 laws of achievement.
Spot on. Yeah, how's just get in the way, right? They stymie us, don't they? So well said,
Yeah.
Leslie. I'm a big believer in that. In fact, why first, what next, and the hows will just follow on, right, David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Okie
much.
dokie.
Yeah. Cecile also says, is setting big goals a mindset?
Oh.
I would say to begin with, it is absolutely, because it's a change, and most people fear failure. When they don't fear failure, they fear uncertainty. Most people I've met are terrified the first time they go about setting a massive goal, and then they become fearless because, per se, now setting massive goals is both realistic and achievable because they've done one.
So they've got evidence, right? So as
Yeah.
soon as you've got evidence, you can then, I've set one once and it worked. So if I can do it once, I can do it twice, right?
I was just looking at, sorry, Sarah, I'm taking your job off you here.
Okay.
I was just looking at the quote there from Joe. He says, "Haha, I want an Aston. So far, I've got a Mini." Well, actually, it depends whether you want to drive one or own one, because you've got to be really specific about the goal. You could be driving an Aston next week if you join one of those clubs where you timeshare posh cars.
Yeah, nice. There you
You really
go.
want to own it or drive it.
Hey, Joe, you can get your Aston. There you go. You can buy a Corgi one as well, can't you? Might not be a big, massive, hairy goal, that, Joe, but just kidding. Just kidding.
Make it specific.
Okay, carry on, Sarah.
Maria Jeffers, 12-week cycles work. One focus per quarter. I now run my coaching program over 12 weeks for this reason.
Okay, yep, good. Yep, so you can break it down into smaller sections again. Yeah, okay, fine.
There we go. Back to David, because we're all going on about the cars now. So
okay, we're now in car land now.
I've got the key ring, so maybe once a month we buy a piece of the car and build it.
This so often happens in our group. This does. So we go down a rabbit hole, and Sarah's bringing us back. So well done, Sarah.
Right, Laurie, I think goals need to be realistic. That doesn't mean they can't be massive and hairy, but constantly setting unreachable goals isn't great.
There's an argument for that. To be fair, there is an argument for that, depending upon the individual's resilience and level of emotional intelligence when it comes to resilience. The resilient person won't care that they haven't achieved the triple the size of the goal they originally set if they've smashed the one that they wanted.
Right.
Some people may not handle that well, the constant, oh, I didn't finish the task. So that is actually a very important point to make, Lowry. I hope I've pronounced that correctly.
Laurie, yeah.
That is an important point to make. It depends upon the individual and how you are wired yourself.
Yeah. And Leslie says this to follow on from Laurie. Just wonder what your thoughts are on this. Laurie Hales, isn't that the distinction between goals and tasks? Question mark.
Yeah. Tasks take you to the goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We've talked about focus. I mean, another thing that, especially if we've got any coaches in, that top achievers allude to. But in the 80s, it used to be called a power hour or something like that. An hour focusing on really getting the grunt work done. Whereas these days, they call it the third of 1% or 5 to 10 minutes a day rule, where instead of just working hard, they actually look at the tasks that need to be done and they pick deliberately on the thing they've been putting off doing. So they eat the sprout. And for 5 to 10 minutes a day, they absolutely give it everything they've got to the best of their ability, accepting the fact that they won't like doing it. They might fail a couple of times. They'll want to give in and walk away. But every single day, 5 to 10 minutes a day, until they've broken the back of the most difficult thing first. And psychologically speaking, this is so simple, but please, I beg you, intelligent people listening to this, don't mistake it as simplistic. This is simple, is that if you do the hardest things first, your day or goal gets easier when everyone else's day or goal gets harder.
Yeah, I like that.
It is that simple.
Yeah, and I love the comment about eat that sprout. In our family, that would be a big goal for most people to eat in our family, including me, actually. I like the sentiment there. Eat that sprout, eat that frog. You know, those are the kind of classic lines, aren't they? So thank you for that. And intelligence often isn't doing stuff complicated, is it? It's doing stuff simpler.
Andy, I mean, you've known me a little while. I am not academically, scientifically minded. I am not an intelligent man with reams of qualifications to my names. Depending on what. But there you go. There's an example. I speak proper like what Yao did.
Proper Yao, yeah. Proper Birmingham, yeah.
The reason why I applied the things I've learned from top achievers, because everything they have told me is simple.
Yeah,
it's
simple.
Easy.
Simple
The
works.
people who tend to overcomplicate things, and this, I might be offending some people in the room when I say this, so I don't care. The reason people overcomplicate things and give things really long scientific names is normally because they're seeking self-importance and approval.
Okay. Yeah.
Not because they want to help and serve.
So the adage "keep it simple, stupid" really works, then, doesn't it? You know, but that doesn't mean that it's not big, right? Either. Just keep it simple, right? Yeah. Okay. So, David, tell us a bit about your story and your own personal struggle that led you to set up a whole business about big, hairy goal setting, big, massive, hairy goal setting.
I'll go as quick as I can.
Okay. You got 5 minutes.
No problem. Failed high school student because I was scared and immature. That's the truth. I was scared. I was immature. Wouldn't step up. Wouldn't work hard. Easily distracted. Oh, look, a pigeon. That's how easily distracted I was.
Yeah.
I went to college to prove a careers officer wrong because he didn't think I'd get in. So I lied, got in, became a chef, became a good chef, an award-winning, cooked food to 7 members of the senior British Royal Family chef.
Wow.
And then started a little catering and event business. Did really well there. Now, when I say did really well, most catering establishments get a couple of complaints a week, some a day if they're not very good. We had 14 complaints in 14 years, and in my opinion, only 4 of those were justified. So we were really good at what we did. The problem is that I wasn't growing the business because I was a control freak and a micromanager. I started to get people into the business, consultants, to tell me where I was going wrong. They were all telling me I was the problem, so I got rid of them and did what, and then finally admitted it was me that was the problem. Because I was too scared to send myself on management training courses.
Oh, yeah.
Because of my past education experience, I thought, how can I learn how to be better? And then I looked at my client list. My client list for the catering business was the who's who of the West Midlands.
Wow.
We're talking captains of industry, entrepreneurs, theatre owners, football club owners and managers, and they were the who's who. So I started asking them, how do you set goals? How do you think you behave? And what they were telling me was so overwhelmingly different to anything I'd ever heard in my life, because it was all simple, practical. Oh, of course you do that. It's obvious. Why isn't everybody doing it? And then one guy said, yeah, why isn't everybody doing it? And I went, I don't know. I'm going to find out. So I started a bizarre hobby of interviewing successful people. That became an obsession. My wife would say I became evangelistic about it. And now, 25 years later, to my knowledge, I'm the only living person on the planet to have done as much research into the subject of goal setting.
Wow.
And the biggest thing we found out is that the myth of you must set smart goals is based upon a misquotation.
Yeah, brilliant.
Most top achievers say they set really big goals with smart steps to the goal.
Yeah, and here's a thought for you, David. You talked about the fear of school. I can resonate with that. That's very similar to my own story. Started with virtually nothing from school. And, that fear drove me. And I remember my maths teacher saying to my parents, Andrew will never pass his O-level maths at the time. Well, so I wanted to prove him wrong. So eventually I did. It took a few years, but I got there, and then I realized, this stuff is easy. And I could, I got better at it. And then I did my degree, and then from my degree I got my master's degree. But the key for me was overcoming that fear, or at least the drivenness to prove somebody wrong.
You had a reason why bigger than your fear.
Yeah, there it is.
I left school literally being terrified, almost phobic of fractions and algebra.
Oh yeah.
I was totally convinced, even through my adult life, convinced I liked algebra and fractions. And yet the truth is, if my son's life depended upon me owning algebra within 2 hours, I would own algebra within 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, you'll set yourself a goal and do it, right?
All you've got to have is a reason why bigger than your fear. You do it.
There you go. All you need is a reason why, and you can do anything bigger than your fear, folks. Let's just bring Sarah up for a minute and just polish up some of these comments here. Sarah.
Yeah, so Jonas, when I realised I could potentially help millions of people by getting them out of their wheelchairs, I had a mind-expanding experience.
Wow.
For me, the why is more significant than me, but it's also essential that nobody else is doing it, so I have to succeed.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just letting that sink in. Go on, David. Yeah. Yeah. Tick. Yeah, you got a big strike one from David there. Brilliant.
Absolutely. So Leslie Flowers, experts make it simple.
Love that. Yeah. And so simply said, Leslie, that must make you an expert. Brilliant. Well done, Leslie. Love that. Yeah.
Matthias, the smartest people I know are not those speaking for hours, using loads of jargon in every sentence and think they're better than anyone else due to their intelligence. The smartest people I know are humble, are listening to others, are able to break things down and explain it in a simple way.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's. I think for me, one of my traits is that as a kid, I had a lot of dyslexic issues. So you'd have to make things simple for me to understand it. But you know what? In some ways, that's just a really great trait. So where something can be a disadvantage, it can actually become an advantage because you want to simplify things and make them easy, right? So you can understand them. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Just one thing I've thought of is, listening to you two, it's very much self-belief is huge.
Self-belief.
So actually, if you don't believe that you can reach that big, hairy goal, your why is not going to be bigger than your how.
Yeah. Well said.
I don't know if we've got any employers in the room, but if you employ people, start preparing now for a generation entering the workforce that in 10 years' time are going to be your managers and leaders who have been pummeled to death emotionally and mentally in a way that we, people our age, have no comprehension of. Their self-esteem and confidence and resilience is on the floor, and they're going to be bringing that into your workplace. So any leader that ever dismisses personal development, learning and development, and motivation as something to be taken seriously, if you dismiss that, you're going to be in trouble.
I completely agree.
Won't be staying with you.
When I teach about high-performing teams, one of the things that I say, it's not just about you as a team, it's also about you as individuals. You have to change from the inside out. And then when you magnify that in a team, it goes exponential. Fantastic. I love the Sarah. I thought that comment was brilliant. Self-belief in your why is the why, right? That's what you need. That self-belief in your why, David.
Yeah, yeah, and that comes with certainty again. People don't fear failure; they
I
fear
feel
uncertainty.
uncertainty.
And
Yeah.
I think that was Nigel Risner who told me that. But and the my take on that is that we must stop fearing failure.
Yeah.
For all of us, we've failed. It's part of life. It's part of development. It's part of growing up as a person. We must stop fearing failure. What I want you to do is be terrified of mediocrity.
I love that. Be terrified, folks, of mediocrity. Mediocrity.
I want you to fear it with a passion, because I don't know about anybody else in the room, but I spent 30 years striving for and achieving nothing at all. And, I was so average, I offended myself. And it's only in the last 26 years that I've done stuff, but I've also failed. The interesting thing is that whereas before everyone just said, Dave, average Joe, now they hardly ever talk about my failures because
Yeah,
you've achieved big. I've
indeed.
done things in the last 26 years the old me never would have dreamt possible, only
Mm.
because I've set massive goals and I've had a why. And once I did one big goal, the rest was just, well, it might be massive, but I'm doing it anyway. And
Yeah,
yeah, I failed occasionally, but my fear of mediocrity now motivates me rather than my fear of failure.
I like that. You said something along the lines, if I could paraphrase this. So I was so average, I scared myself. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Brilliant. Okay. So we'll come back to some more comments in a moment, but just while we're talking about this subject, big hairy goals, talk us through how do we set a big hairy goal? I can see this big pyramid in the background.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you might want to give us
So
some visuals.
we've got a process.
Mm,
It's based upon a pyramid or a triangle. It's not a
yeah.
pyramid scheme. Don't worry, I'm not going to flog treatment or perfume
Brilliant.
or herbal products to anybody. But
Yeah.
it's a pyramid. It's a triangle.
Mm,
What I took were the most common things. Top achievers said, "This is how I set a massive goal." I put it into a pyramid just because it had a structure to it. But fortunately, let me show you what happened. This is the very first pyramid I ever did, and I decided to see whether I could set a massive goal.
yeah. As a goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very
And
good.
I'll be honest, I was scared,
Yeah.
but I went to Cancer Research in Birmingham,
Mm,
and I went to them. They were a small charity. They'd raised about £1 million
wow.
in 7, 8 years, mostly through fund applications and things like that. I went to them and said, "I'm on my own. I've only got my spare time. I've never fundraised before. And I want to see if Massive Goals works, and I want to do one event for you and hopefully raise a lot of money." They said, "How much?" I went, should have thought of that. And I said, £50,000. As soon as I said it, they laughed at me and escorted me out of the room. The only reason I didn't give in was because they didn't know I had a reason why I must that was bigger than my fear. I'd
mm,
recently lost my mum to cancer, and I'd promised her that I would do something significant in her name.
right.
So I went away and did this silly little triangle. We did not raise £50,000. We actually smashed not just the crab appeal, we smashed Cancer Research UK's
Wow.
full-time fundraising team's record at the time. And in our first event, my friend and I, Melvin, we raised £288,000 for
Whoa.
Cancer Research.
Wow.
This is my favourite one, though, Andy.
That,
This is my favourite one because I also work with young adults. This is an 11-year-old schoolgirl from Tamworth.
oh, wow.
Right? Her mum and dad were made redundant, so she did a pyramid to start a business selling her
Oh,
dad's amateur photography.
lovely.
And she ended up making telephone numbers.
Wow. That deserves a round of applause, I think. Wow. Amazing.
We've had leaders right down to school children achieve British, European sporting champions, numerous millionaires in business, multimillionaires. We're close to our first billionaire. Can't wait. We've got people come off drugs. People have broken sales records, fundraising records. We've got 17 if you count me, Amazon #1 authors, global best-selling authors. I could go on and on. Other than my family, the thing I'm most proud of is the thing other people have used these triangles for.
Funny enough, you should say that, David. Here's one of mine I did earlier. I don't know
Yeah,
whether you can
yeah,
see that. I did that 18 months ago. I know it's the wrong way around for you guys, but I did that 18 months ago when I was setting up Leaders Live, and all of those have come to fruition. So, yeah, I can attest that the pyramid thingy works really well. Thingy.
So, very short process.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more to it.
Mm.
In simple terms, write down a list of all the things you've got to do to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
Okay,
Small
do a
goals.
to-do list, a massive to-do list. Brainstorm it with your mentors, peers, colleagues, mastermind group if you have one. If you haven't got a mastermind group,
Get one.
get a mastermind group.
There you go.
You then prioritize that list. That is one step that most people never do. Prioritize the list with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks, the first few tasks being the most urgent, critical, or scary.
Ah.
Because if it's scaring you, you know you should be doing it and you'll be putting off doing it. So you write a list of all the things you can think of, prioritize the list in number, and then place the most important prioritized or scary tasks in the bottom rows and blocks of your pyramid.
There you go,
These are
folks.
your foundations.
Mm.
These are the foundations. So hypothetically, a couple of things that top achievers do that if all of you action, I guarantee, I don't suggest or promise, I guarantee will make you more effective. Okay? So
Gotcha.
number 1, have a massive goal.
Ding.
Right?
Yep.
Number 2, third of 1%, 5 to 10 minutes a day, go rhino on the task that you've been putting off the most. Then how about, to quote Chris Akabusi, the top performing athlete, go and get yourself a mentor. He calls it look into someone at the very highest level. We've had people go and get mentored by Barack Obama, Sir
Wow.
Clive Woodward, world sporting champions, world-renowned marine design engineers. The things that have happened just because people have been courageous enough to go and get a specific skill set expert as a mentor rather than average people. So
Wow.
go and get someone to look into. Get yourself a mastermind group.
What do you mean by a mastermind group? What's that?
A mastermind group is a peer support group
Okay.
who will do 2 things for you that most people avoid doing that top achievers run towards. Most of us here, not all of us, we avoid seeking support of the right quality and type. And we avoid accountability. We'll
There you
do
go.
anything to get off the hook. That's not serving us. What we need are a group of people numbering between 3 and 6 people who are not your friends.
So they're like your board of advisors, right?
Yeah.
Right, got it.
People with different skill sets and personality to your own.
Okay.
So that if Andrew, if you and I were in the same group, I would have you in my group because you've got superb technical ability, and that scares me to death. So you would support me and hold me accountable in ways I need with regards to technology.
Yeah.
And I can do the same for you in relation to goal setting.
Okay.
Or speaking skills. So not that you need that, but so get support and accountability.
Gotcha.
And by the way, most people assume masterminding groups started in America at the turn of the last century because of Napoleon Hill's book Think and Grow Rich. It didn't. It started in Birmingham.
Birmingham of all places. Yeah, with you, David?
No, there was a little, if anyone knows the history, a group called the Lunar Society.
Ah, the James Watt thing. Yeah.
They gave birth to the Industrial Revolution, changed the world forever. All they were was a mastermind group.
Mastermind group, and they met in Birmingham and they changed the world, right? The Iron Masters. Yep, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Get you.
Yeah.
Get you. Also, very, very important, they make it fun.
Hey, now you're talking. Make it fun, folks. Make it fun.
And then let's put some tangibles around it. Okay, so we might need some finance in place for our massive goal. We might need a team. We might need some family buy-in. Chat a couple of things as well, Andrew, that might be involved in a massive goal for you.
So the accountability you've mentioned finance. I'm just trying to think what else would be really useful.
About market research.
Oh, yeah, marketing. Yes, absolutely. Marketing research, how to sell it, speak to people about sales. Yeah.
That'll do for now. That'll do as an example. So let's just say our goal, we've got our list, we've prioritised most important tasks in the foundation blocks of your pyramid.
Yeah.
Then, whilst your time, energy, motivation, and resource is at its greatest, you go, as I call it, go rhino, right? You go rhino. You give it everything you've got for
Charge
5 to
at
10
it.
minutes on the most important or scary tasks first. So only cross them off when they're done.
Done, right.
But if you start crossing boxes off up here, the nice, easier tasks, it becomes a game of, depending on your age, either Tetris or Kaplunk. The pyramid falls down.
You've got to
There's
move
no
them about.
foundation.
Right.
So you must do this stuff, the hard stuff, whilst your energy and motivation and resources at its greatest. So when you've got, can't remember what the M was for now. Massive goal.
Massive
You've
goal.
actually got, when you've got the massive goal and the why, cross it off. When 5 to 10 minutes a day, you are absolutely smashing it. Then and only then, when it's a routine, cross it off. When you've got a top achiever mentor with a skill set you're missing, cross it off. When you've got a peer support group to support you and hold you accountable, cross it off.
Yeah.
When you're making the whole process so much fun, you can't wait to get out of bed on a Sunday morning on an ocean rain evening.
Technical term, folks.
Just to take action on your goal, cross it off. When you've got the finance in place, and cross it off. The most important thing is that the goal should be massive, but every single task by itself should appear realistic and achievable.
Yeah, so that's where the SMART element comes in for those small building blocks, right? Back to SMART again. That's where that comes in.
Let's just say someone's got the money, they've got the market research, they've got the massive goal, they've got everything in place, but actually they're perhaps more introverted and getting the right team. They're not a people person. That's a massive thing for them. It scares them. So you've got your massive goal pyramid on another piece of paper. You brainstorm, how am I going to get a team together? And you do another little sub pyramid, breaking down that until every single task in the team pyramid is realistic and achievable.
There you go.
Doing, Leslie in the comments just says masterminding has been around for 5,000 years. Honestly, I do not doubt for 1 second that it probably originated either in India, China, Italy, Rome, or Asia somewhere. I don't doubt that for a second. I have just, as yet, not been able to find any proper written evidence of that. Nothing documented that. Yeah, I'm sure it happened in Greece or Rome. 100%, I'm sure it did. But I can't find anything to prove it did.
Well, I reckon to build one of those pyramids, you might need a pyramid like this to go and build a pyramid, right? just a thought. What's the big why there? Well, there you go. Yeah.
So every task by itself, realistic and achievable. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's not hard work. It's always hard work.
Absolutely, yeah. If something's worthwhile doing, it's worthwhile doing well, and nothing is easy in life, right? But it still can be fun.
If you've got the why and the massive goal, the rest of it should
follow on.
Should just follow.
Yeah.
And these silly triangles have changed people's lives. They are simple, but not simplistic.
And one of the other things I'd put on there next to sales probably is get advocates. Start to advertise it, talk to people about it. You don't keep it secret. Just
100%.
Talk to people about it. You don't have to hide it under a bushel and be scared that someone else is going to get it. Appropriately, you could talk to other people about stuff, because stuff gets, goals get bigger when we use I to the power of we, in my opinion.
That's people being afraid of failure and a fear of lack of acceptance from other people if they fail.
And mediocrity.
And top achievers, they're not arrogant. They are a little bit blasé. They will say, why would I worry what other people think of me if doing that makes me more effective?
There you go. So shout it off the rooftops as well, but to the appropriate people, and also don't let people pour cold water over your dreams as well. That's another thought, because people will, right? People will pour cold water all over your dreams. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's just give you a quick break, and then we're going to move on. So Sarah, what's going on?
So Joe Cooper, I've thought of goals, but never thought of goals in such a great way. Really inspiring, David.
There we go. Lovely. Thanks, Joe.
Jonas, I'm terrified by mediocrity. I've been fleeing it all my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Well done, Jonas.
Rebecca Jenkins, I'll always do the hard tasks first. It makes all the difference to the rest of the day. Oh, doesn't it just? And you feel so pleased with yourself, really, when you've got it out the way and you've done it, and you're like, it does. It makes you feel good. Makes you feel good.
Yeah, and Sarah, you're a master at that, if I may say. You know, you're a master at eating those sprouts or eating those horrible frogs, and you get them out of the way.
So I don't see the issue with sprouts personally, but there we
Nobody likes sprouts, surely.
As a former chef, I've got recipes that make you love sprouts.
if you can make Andrew eat sprouts, that would be a big hairy goal.
I've got to set it first. There's no why for that for me, none at all.
It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. So yeah, lots of appreciation, lots of chat between people in the chat.
Lovely. Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Yeah,
Lovely.
I think, very much you saying don't let people pour cold water, and David, you said, well, you failed for the first 30 years. Actually, doesn't failure just kind of teach us things along the way? If we did everything right all the time, how would we be able to empathize with people who do fail?
Yeah. The trick is not to do it too often, isn't it? And to learn from it, right?
If you can help it, then absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because actually fear hurts, right? But it doesn't mean we shouldn't feel it and then feel that hurt and then do something about it and learn from it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Right. So, top tips, David. And we're just coming to an end now. What would be your top tips for big hairy goal setting, big, massive, hairy goal setting? Just remind us what your top tips are.
So, got to be massive.
Got to be massive. Yeah.
It's got to be massive with realistic and achievable steps.
Steps. Yeah.
Got to have that cause, that call to action, the reason to do the goal that is bigger than the goal.
And bigger than the fear, right?
You're not afraid of failing because it's a sense of inevitability. I've got to do this. It's I must, I have to, rather than, I'll try. As soon as we say try, you screw your face up and wince anyway. Doesn't put us in a good place. Decide to do or do not.
Decide to do or decide not to. Yeah. I like that. Where are we there?
But yeah, just decide. I'm either doing it or I'm not.
Yeah.
So goal must be massive. Have a reason why.
Yeah.
Dedicate, even if it's just for 3 weeks, 21 days, Herman Ebbinghaus rule of 21 days, consecutive days, 5 to 10 minutes a day, go rhino on the most difficult tasks. I dare you not to buy me a beer as a thank you.
There you go. Yeah. So, David, you're going to get hopefully loads of beers. So there you go. That's a good way of getting a beer. I like that. That's smart. I saw what you did there. Very good. Very good. Okay. And I would say, to add to that, self-belief, belief in your why, right? Believe in your why. I remember one of my mates, who's my boss at the time, and then became a friend of mine, he always used to say, look, you've got to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, magic can happen. Yeah. Okay. So, David, just talk us through very briefly then, your own call to action here. I'm just trying to find where that's gone in here. Where have you gone? There you go. So, David, talk us through your details here, David, and I'll just move you about a bit.
I am a professional speaker on my research.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs a speaker, davidhyner.com. I would be most grateful, because recommendations on LinkedIn have probably got me more work than anything else. If you've got something of value from today, please don't leave a recommendation saying that was great, David, thank you. Leave a recommendation saying what you're going to do or what you've done as a result of today.
Yeah.
Those are the best testimonials. And if anybody's genuinely interested in going a little bit deeper on this subject or one of my other research subjects, please check out my video courses at my Kajabi site.
Lovely. Okay. And then this is David's website here. If I can just scroll through this, let's see if the magic will happen here. This is David's website. This is davidhyner.com, right? So you can check you out there. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So look, we could talk forever, couldn't we, David? But unfortunately, time is always against us. I mean, that must be a limiting belief there. Time is always against us. But in this instance, time is against us. And thanks again for enlightening us. We're going to wrap up the show shortly, but and thanks for an extraordinary conversation around motivation and goal setting. And, be motivated to goal set. It's not just about the goal setting. It's about the reason why, which is about motivation, isn't it? And we've loved having you on the show, my friend, and this show will be on podcast shortly to people. So please join in our LinkedIn Leaders Live group. Tilly's just popped that in the post in the comments. Thank you, and keep the conversation moving over there. And follow us on our Leaders Live company page, as well as our subscribe to YouTube as well, folks. And those links will all be in the in the feed in a moment, as well as David's contact details as well, which I've just seen going into the feed. So that's brilliant. Before I get on to what's on next week, quick reminder that the Leaders Live show, it's a free show, folks, for all leaders, directors, managers and entrepreneurs who are interested in business growth or infotainment and enjoy taking part and interacting in these extraordinary conversations, folks. And and together in this community, we aim to make the world a better place, folks. And there's a big why, right? There's a big why. And that's a big, massive, hairy goal. And we've been doing it for the last 18 months. We want to bring a spirit of freedom, of joy and fun, as David said in his pyramid, of fun and a feel-good factor in all our working lives. And a big shout out for Ghost, our sponsors this week. Ghost are a brand and design agency with an exceptional team of highly skilled and vibrant people that help develop and shape brands to inspire businesses just like yours and mine. And very briefly, just talking about calls to action. Sarah, over to you to talk a little bit together with me on PDX and what we do, just as what.
Yeah, it's really relevant today. I mean, we've talked about how people need, if you need somebody to make you accountable, if you need somebody to help you set those goals, Andrew's your teams guy. If you've got people things, if you've got, if you need coaches, if you need help with your team to get that dynamics, get the goal setting as a team right, Andrew's your guy. Give him a call. He'd love to hear from you. It costs nothing to talk. It might not be, oh well, I want Andrew to come and do something, but actually, do you know what, just pick up the phone, get in touch. LinkedIn, and also with LinkedIn, if you're thinking, David said he gets a lot of his work from LinkedIn. If you're sitting there thinking, oh gosh, my LinkedIn's not great, Marketing CX, Tilly Davies, get in contact with her. She's absolutely fantastic. And, there are lots of people around that can help. So just costs nothing to talk.
Yeah, and work with other people, folks. Thank you, Sarah. That's brilliant. And very briefly, the goose for next week, folks. Leslie says, nice to be here. That's great. Thank you, Leslie. The goose for next week on Leaders Live, folks. Next week on Tuesday, the 17th of January, folks, at 8:45 UK time, when we are going to be hanging out with Dr. Ian Price again and one of his colleagues, Dulcie Swanston, a double act. And they're going to be talking about their brand new book called Dose, which is a personal prescription dose. Do you get that? Personal prescription, a personal prescription for a happier life. And it's a book that we've got the scoop on, folks. So we'll be scooping that book. We think you're going to love it and we can't wait. So be there or be square. And we're going to rock out to our outro scene in a moment, if I can find it. I can't find the outro scene. Where are we? Outro closer. I think this is it here. Yeah, so we're going to say goodbye for now. And here's our outro closer. So we're just going to wave you goodbye for now. And great to hang out with you today, folks. And thank you very much for being on the show. Thanks for being part of this fantastic show and creating such a great community vibe. And the podcast will be out shortly too. And in the meantime, that's a wrap, folks, from David, from Sarah, and from me. And this week's sponsor, Ghost. We wish you a great week ahead. And thank you very much for listening. Cheers for now. Thank you. Bye-bye. Just close us off.